Hello, and welcome to Bands of Confusion, a videocast dedicated to highlighting local Pierce, Thurston, and King County artists, musicians, and venues. I am JW Collier, also known as JW_Drummer Boy on most social medias. I am the drummer for the local indie rock band My Fading Blondes, and I am your host. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Radio Tacoma 101.9 FM for hosting this videocast on their radio station. Please tune in on Friday night at 10 p.m. and Saturday night at 9 p.m. to listen to this videocast and all the other amazing shows they have available to you. The idea behind this videocast is to highlight local talent and venues, as well as trying to connect musicians and listeners with each other in an effort to expand the local music community. Each week, I will interview and highlight a band or venue. You will get to know the people involved, the motivation behind their music or the music they are striving to bring to you, and more importantly, you will get to hear some of the music they are creating. If you or someone you know is in a working band or venue and would like to be highlighted on Bands of Confusion, please reach out to Bands of Confusion on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, and we will get you scheduled. All right, tonight I'm here with Student Nurse. They are James Lord on drums, vocals, recording, and production, Dave Eric on guitars and vocals, Eric Muse on bass, vocals, recording, and production, and Helen Rogers on vocals, guitar, and design. How you guys doing?
And James had to leave, so it's the three of us.
Gotcha.
Minus two. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on, you guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a rich history, so I'm kind of excited to hear more about what's has gotten you to this point, in your musical careers. So why don't you guys start with that? Like, just tell me a little bit about Student Nurse and the origins and the history and how you got to where you are now.
The band had a heyday in the late 70s and early 80s. At the time, if you were doing anything original in Seattle, you were a weirdo and part of a small group of weirdos. And so we would put on shows that had, for instance, a reggae band that was weird, and there was a band called the Farts that were if you heard them now, you'd say, "Oh, that's hardcore," but it was completely new kind of sound. And Helena and I both played at different times in a sort of an art lurching experimental art performance band called Audio Letter. That we did a Student Nurse, Sundance rhythm band, Farts, and Audio Letter show, for example.
Yeah, which is a very wide, eclectic range of.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And at that time, Seattle was, of course, much smaller, but it was also much less receptive to original music. And there was either one place to play or zero places to play. So, we would play art galleries, or it's our friend Gretchen's birthday, so we'd set up in her living room, or we'd play, some failing bar that's okay. So we're going out of business soon. Let's try new wave, and so we do that, and we practiced in a storage shed that's still there up in Northgate, and our drummer John got very into. He got a 4-track reel-to-reel recorder, and during the pandemic, we put together a CD of recordings from the early 80s. Right. Some of them were done in a sort of bottom-end professional studios. Triangle, which is the building's still there. It's still a recording studio on Leary Way. But the majority of what's on that CD is John Rogers turning 4-track recording into magic, very early home recordings. And you went on to do a lot of that, and I went on to do about 1 million miles of that, particularly when I moved down to California. A lot of home recording. But we played probably about 100, 150 gigs during that time, and we're just always always working, sometimes with some success, and sometimes just gigs you wouldn't wish on your enemy.
So,
Well, go ahead.
before Eric came along, Eric and Tom came along, the band also played. We did a lot of improvisational. We do a set of totally improvised music with dancers,
Oh,
like
okay.
dancers,
And
and a live painter, and then we take a little break, and then we play our regular set of music.
Nice. That's cool. So then Tom was, what did he play?
He played guitar.
He was guitar. And is he the one that came to that Seattle gig I went to?
last summer.
Yeah. Okay. So he showed up for that for a little bit. That was cool. All right.
So, but doing all that sort of arty stuff in the beginning was sort of it got us a bad reputation because amongst the cool people that like to party, they'd play the gigs and be all drunk and then go to their band house and have a party. And we were a little bit more serious and that wasn't really our thing, although we did do a fair amount of getting, but
on the radio.
We are on the radio, just so you know. Oh, that's crazy. So how long did you guys last in that heyday? How long did you guys stay together?
So I think the first band was like 78 or 79.
Yeah.
And then that was with, what was his name? Bill?
So
bass player,
the
or
original
William
bass
Bill
player
Adams,
was a guy named Bill Adams,
Okay.
and he ended up leaving to go play a full-time gig as a lounge player
Wow.
because he wanted to make a living.
Okay. Follow the money.
So I don't know whatever happened to him. And then he was replaced by this guy, Joe Harris.
Oh.
And Joe had a friend named Alan, and so was a guitar player. So
Okay.
in 40s.
Okay. And then, so how long did you stay together?
I don't know how long those guys were arrested.
Tom and I joined the band. They left after recording a 4-song vinyl EP. It came out on vinyl.
I've seen on TV.
And so the first gig Tom and I played was for the record release party for that. Another interesting aspect of those times that's worth mentioning, and in fact, that's how this whole revival started. During the pandemic, people started putting up, forming Facebook groups and putting up posters. And Helena used to hand silkscreen multicolored gig posters. And she did. I thought of that because you did the album cover for that EP,
Right.
and for the first 3-song single as well. And all of these are on our website, studentnurseband.com.
Okay.
We essentially collected every one of these posters we could find. There probably, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple that we didn't remember and didn't find, but we got 95% of them, and they're quite unique and spectacular.
That's great.
There's a whole book that has some of yours.
Yeah, it's called Instant Litter. It was written by Art Chantry,
who was a designer of great note over many generations of Seattle music. And he put out a poster book, and you'll see Student Nurse sprinkled throughout there. Yeah,
right on. That's very cool. And then, so how long of a break did you have between when you stopped playing together as a band and then when you decided to bring this thing all back together? How many years was that?
38 years and 2 minutes.
38 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome.
So we were collecting posters, and then I'd gotten some new mastering software that made some old John Rogers recordings of the band on cassette start to sound, oh, this is pretty good. And then a friend of ours, Dennis White, who's been really helpful, we should put out a CD. And then the doing of the CD and there were, in particular, Steve Turnage, my friend Steve, remastered all this stuff, and he did just light years beyond anything I could or knew how to do.
Wow.
Really made it sound astonishingly good for, I mean, some of the songs came off a cassette that a DJ, Steve Rabo, mailed to us from Florida.
Yeah.
You know, just the strangest provenance from some of
Is he
for
on-
some of these
Is he
recordings.
on KJet?
He was on
KISW?
Kazam, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Rock
Kazam.
of the '80s, yeah.
Wow.
He made it sound really great, and I don't know, about April of a year ago, March or April, we started, oh, we got the CD coming out, we should have some kind of an event for it. I wonder if we could play a song or two. And here we
I
are.
was,
And
I was
you were extremely
vehemently
skeptical.
idea. First of all, I hadn't taken my guitar out of the case in 3 years.
Wow.
And we had also tried at one point in time to sort of put a few songs together, and it just went really badly. So I was like, oh, I don't know, but we came together, and to my surprise, it actually we pulled it together pretty quickly, and then it was like, well, we might as well, like, let's put together a set. So we put together a set of all these old songs and played the Fantagraphics
Hot off the press book fair,
book
yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Street in Georgetown, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I went to. Yeah.
David, that's about the time that David joined the band.
Yeah, so David joined, and then James is well, I think John was on the drums at that gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now James is the new drummer, and David came in.
Tractor.
The
Played
tractor.
the
Yeah.
tractor.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
But I'd rather forget that.
Yeah. John had some health problems we don't need to get into, but
Okay.
he's a beautiful guy, and
Still
Yeah.
drumming. Still drumming.
Still
for Planet
drumming.
Fly.
for a
Yeah.
band called Planet Fly, they play approximately half the speed that we do.
Yeah. Is that the band that I think we played with Mia Vista, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Very cool. All right. So Dave, tell me a little bit about your experience joining the band and what brought you in.
Well, I think John heard something he liked of my playing when you and Eric and I and the rest of the band for Mia Vista were at that gig.
Okay.
Also thought that I think the theory was that Elaine had to do a lot of stuff because she sings, she plays lead, and so it needs a second guitar.
Okay.
He suggested me, and I was game.
Nice.
Been playing on and off with Eric for about a dozen or so years, maybe more, just
Wow.
here with different projects, and some worked out, some I didn't fit in.
So at Roosevelt High School, Dave ran the newspaper, and the newspaper had the responsibility for putting on a talent show. We were talking about this last night. And we did a song together. What was the song we did? You remember?
Well, I think it was something by Morphine.
Morphine, yeah. Eric's
In a
student
box.
band won the entire talent show.
Playing Ian Dury's The Drug, Sex, and Rock and
Sex
Roll.
and Drugs and Rock and Roll, yeah, with high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No doubt the best high school band.
I showed my friend Steve, that teacher Steve, and he just shook his head. They would never let us do this in Wisconsin.
That's cool. Right on. Well, let me kind of shift gears a little bit. I was going to ask you guys a few questions. Just kind of whoever wants to join in, jump in and tell us a little bit about what you're thinking in regard to the question. I wanted to start with you guys because it's so unique to have a band that's been around for so long and had so many. You guys have seen a lot. Just collectively, you've seen a lot throughout the music industry and throughout the years. So how would you say, starting the band back in the 70s and playing, recording, gigging, and all that compares to what you're doing now? Because I just saw you recently at Daryl's in Shoreline too, right? So you guys are out there doing it with everybody else, So what's the difference?
Well, I'll take this one. So basically, back then everything was sort of quirky, and we were total perfectionists. Everything was, if we made one or two mistakes in a night, we would be like, "Arr." But given the limitations of being, having not played a guitar for 3 years and just sort of like having to ramp myself up and then joining up with these guys, was a bit of a challenge in the beginning, but it's really starting to gel now. And the band now is a lot more loose and intense, and the new music that we're writing is way different, really fun to play.
Cool.
And we just, basically, and this time around, it's really easy to get gigs.
Oh,
Back
interesting.
back in the 80s, it was really hard to get gigs because there was no internet, for one thing. You had to
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah.
or go in person, or
Yeah.
much more of a challenge. So with the internet and email, you just and and we have a reputation, so
Yeah, that's great.
so it's been really
Yeah, it
easy.
is definitely different, huh? Because I do all the, a lot of the booking for my band, and I found the same thing where it's like you can just get out there and start lining gigs up, and you can actually get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, and I would also say we have been when you play in a band, you start seeing other bands way more than you did when you weren't playing in a band.
Yep.
And we have seen so many great local bands
Yeah.
and great shows. It's quite astonishing.
Right.
You could call them the competition, but it's also, it's more than that. It's a community, and
Yep.
there's so many people who are just putting out here in Seattle such energetic live original music. And I have a hard time believing that exists to that extent in other places.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
And the people are doing it without expecting a lot of remuneration,
Yeah.
and without, we've seen, like Eric said, we've been to a lot of shows, a lot more than I've been before, and I haven't heard anybody except for one band, um, 38 Coffin, mention a label.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Whereas before in the 80s, when I worked at KCMU and went to a lot of shows, labels were all part of the thing. And the labels were trying to grab up bands, and everybody's trying to get on them, and label would do all this for you and all that for you. But everybody's pretty much independent now.
Yeah. Self-sufficient, doing the whole thing, home recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say actually people, the musicians in the community have been, as I think about it, kind of nicer. I mean, everybody's just glad to be playing music and being live and having a thing to do.
And it's not, they're more mature, so they're not as cliquey and
yeah, good.
Competitive.
And actually, I want to give a shout out to Johnny Vinyl, who's been having some health issues, and he's a really great guy and in that community. So just wanted
That's great. Thank you.
Everybody send him some good vibes.
Will do, for sure. Yeah, and that's that's really what inspired me to start this video cast, is the idea of just getting people supporting each other. Like Eric, you made the comment where you said there could be called a competition, but on the other side of that, we need each other to make this stuff work. And one of the things I keep thinking, I can't get out of my head, is if you have more musicians come into your shows, right? If we have people supporting each other, you fill those venues more and more, it's just going to create more of a need for the live music, right? And so that's kind of where I was coming from when I wanted to start this whole thing. Just get people out there helping each other out.
We were also talking earlier this evening about the places that have live music, and there are certainly a lot more of them now than there used to be. But we see all these places struggling. The bands that play there are certainly not making much money, but the venues are operating, they're not making a lot of money either. And they need the support.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
one of the things. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's kind of, like it's almost like there's too many places. So it's like, you want to go hear music, but you can't decide place to go. So
Yeah, that's
it
true.
doesn't
It
crowd,
is.
you know, it really does.
Yeah, because we play in Tacoma a lot, and there's this one strip. I can't remember what street it is now off the top of my head, but there's like 4 music venues, live music venues happening every time at the same place, you know, and they're within 2 blocks of each other, you know, so it does get a little crazy. Right on. So how about tell me a little bit about what's keeping you going? You know, you guys, you know, coming back at this after 38 years. Is it just the music? Is it the hopes of something bigger? Is it just passion? Is it creativity? What inspires you to keep doing
We told him we weren't going to talk about our health problem. Or Eric,
It's a medical
problem.
history, yeah. I think one thing for us, I speaking for myself here, but maybe you guys agree. Sort of, I haven't played bass in a live band in a long time. I was playing guitar in the previous band, and so there are a lot of neural pathways that get explored, and I feel like, I mean, even tonight, I found some things that I could do that I didn't know I could do.
Wow.
Just playing.
We
And
regret it now, but
yeah, the regrets, I've had a few, but just 1 or 2 to mention. So there's just there is that aspect of just sort of increased facility with the instrument. And I, for one, I will confess, I am except for one phase in my life, I am a really crappy solo practicer. The only real practice I get is when other people show up to my house, or, you know, we're having a band practice, and then I bear down.
Okay.
But, so there's a lot of improvement like that. We've got recordings. We got a vinyl coming out, and that's I love recording, and I love the process of getting a sort of a finished thing done, even if it doesn't sound like what the band sounds like, as long as, you know, the recording stands on its own.
Yeah.
So we have that work going on. In fact, in just 2 weeks, we're headed back into the studio with Soundhouse Studio with legendary producer Jack Endino, and trying to finish off a set for a vinyl release, maybe for February.
And for me, I'm like totally, fully passionate right now about playing my fucking guitar. I just like, because, you know, the funny thing is that even though I wasn't playing for 3 years, I was improving anyway.
Yeah. Oh,
for my artistic direction to painting, I became a fine art painter.
Nice.
And I'm really finding where I've always wanted to be with the guitar. It's finally starting to, I'm getting there. And
that's
we
fantastic.
Talked about that. Do you think your painting work actually spills over into the guitar vocabulary that you can express? Yeah,
absolutely.
That's
in
great.
fact, I did my first full solo exhibition only like 4 years after I started painting.
Wow, very cool.
Kind of unheard of. So
yeah, well, congratulations on that. That's great.
So it was just like, it just happened. It was just like instant artist. Just add water.
That's great.
And we have really good gear now.
Yeah.
No, there is.
The gear is really better.
Yeah, it does help, doesn't it?
Well, and we're semi-retired.
So yeah,
got the time and
don't have to get up at 5 a.m. to cook.
There's something about teaching every day. I was a high school teacher for 36 years. There's something about teaching every day that pretty much made creativity go away. Musical creativity, because there just wasn't a lot of energy for that.
I think so we've talked a lot about musicians are always thinking, if I could just get to this level, or I could get to that level. But the same same things that you find as shortcomings are going to be there at every level.
Yeah.
And do you at any age, at our age, do you really want to be on a tour bus and driving all night to do the next gig and playing the same songs over and over again?
Yeah.
We're very much trying to appreciate the fun that we're having and it's a blast to actually get up on stage and just do our thing, and the time goes by so fast.
Yeah, it does. It does, doesn't it?
It's a sort of
It's surreal.
a meditation, and it certainly, I think, runs all of our processors just at absolute maximum.
Yeah.
To play our music, and it's a little bit orgasmic,
On the radio, Eric.
That's all good.
Stretched over an hour set. It just is. It's really intense, and if you're a musician, it's hard to get that in other ways.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue. Let's listen to some music. So you guys sent me a couple songs, so I'm gonna put them on, play them for a little bit here.
And I forget what I sent you, so good. Let's have a surprise.
I'll just surprise you. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
So I'll introduce it after we play it. How's that sound? Wacky Dog by Student Nurse.
Yeah. You feel like you need math?
No, that's great. I love the energy. Tell me a little bit about the song.
Okay, so that song is written about pit bulls. I wrote the song, actually.
Okay.
It's about pit bulls and, people that actually breed them to be tough and mean,
Okay.
and how they have gotten such a bad rap.
Yep.
Because everybody thinks they're these dangerous dogs now.
Yep.
And a lot of them are just total sweethearts, and
of course.
so it's about that. It's about the culture of having a dog that will kill people and things.
Yeah. Do you have a pit bull, or did you?
Not. But I have some good friends that rescue lots of pit bulls.
And it's a really fun song to play. I was sitting here thinking for a metaphor. It's a little bit like a sort of a snowball rolling downhill. Think of Rocky and Bullwinkle. They did something like that, and it just gathers stuff, and it never ends up quite at the bottom of the hill at the same place, right? It's always different. There's an element of improvisation to it, but the energy is very intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great energy.
Oh,
Now,
no,
was that from
we're-
back in the day? Was that from back in the day originally, or is that new?
Well, I wrote the song a long time ago, actually.
Okay.
from
Okay.
30 years ago. or
And
so,
I
but,
don't even remember. Did you write that riff that I play, or some version of it, or
I don't know, we might have like sort of like, I think we did rewrite the music.
so
music,
we goosed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's very student nurse though. I mean, when you hear that, you
No
can't
best
mistake it.
hat in the making that we know of.
But had been had
People
since.
did go to the bathroom quite a bit.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's listen to one more. This one is Garbage.
Oh, I should say, before you start that, so that was a track from our Jack and Dino sessions,
Okay.
and then I purposely picked a track from our own recordings that we did in drummer James's attic, and that's where this one is coming from. So this
Okay.
is essentially self-produced here.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is Garbage by
Garbage.
Student Nurse. I actually had the pleasure of playing drums for this song in Eric's studio one time.
Oh.
I still remember that. With you, Helena.
Dark and rainy morn, quiet on this side street. Early workers rising, lights against the night. The rest of us are sleeping. Drugs are off the rooftop, puddles forming on the ground. A distant rumble sound. Punch a time clock, start up a coat truck, thermos full of coffee, streets before the dawn. Big city ghost town, haunted all night, greasy spook, cops and crazies roaming right through darkness morning.
All right. Garbage.
So the
by
lyrics for
Student
that,
Nurse.
the lyrics
Yeah.
for that song were written by our former drummer, John.
Oh, okay. I
He
didn't know
wrote
that.
a number of our songs.
Oh, very cool.
And that was recorded for the 4-song EP that we alluded to earlier, as seen
Right, right.
came out essentially when Tom and I joined the band, and it didn't sound like that on the EP. And I think Tom and I, when I hear the noisy part, and I think Tom would agree, we hear Ornette Coleman, just
Yeah,
just crazy noise business. Yeah,
Yeah. It's fun. It's very, very high energy.
yeah.
Well,
There you go.
Congratulations.
There you
made
go.
it.
This is
There you go.
this is the moment that somebody has compared what I
Don't
do.
don't play with the other people in the band. Play against them.
Actually, when I paint, I love listening to Ornette Coleman, so I
Oh, funny.
like that.
There
Very
you
cool.
Yeah.
Well, great, guys. Well, thank you for sharing some of your music. That's awesome. So what I'd like to do now is go ahead and tell us where we can find you, where we can hear you, where you guys are playing next, where people could get your LP when that's coming out.
So we have, of course, we're on Bandcamp. We have a new release called Problematic. We put it out physically, although I think, do we have any left?
We do have a few left.
We actually did. You know, do people buy CDs? Do they buy any physical media?
Yeah.
So we thought we got a sample pack of USB drives and made a USB drive slap bracelet, a faux hospital bracelet.
Yeah, I loved it. That was so clever.
And you can buy that inside of a envelope that we Helena designed and we printed and laser burned, and so it's a cool, unique package, and we deserve much more credit, and the world is going to pay. But it's also on Bandcamp, and we have a version of it. We had to limit the tracks to 40 minutes, but we expect to have a vinyl version of this in September or October.
And vinyl's where it's at now, man. You know, once I finally made the decision to get vinyl, it was the stupidest thing I ever did. But that's what I look for now. Anytime I go anywhere, if there's vinyl, I'm buying it. You know what I mean? So I think that's the new thing.
And we have been around. I think about every 6 months we drop off stuff at the local record stores. Helena found a treasure trove of the first 2 Student Nurse singles. We've been taking those around. So gigs.
We got a really good full calendar of gigs coming up. We're playing Plaid Pig in Tacoma.
Oh,
tomorrow
cool.
night.
Yep.
Friday night we're playing at the Royal Room with Red Dress.
Okay.
Then we're playing at the Rabbit Box on August 4th. On August 12th, we're playing at the Equinox Very Open House in Georgetown. It's an outside festival street party. Then we're playing at Music in the Park in Normandy Park on the 14th.
Very
Then
cool.
we're going to play at Tim's Tavern in September, and also Blue Moon.
Nice.
And then we have a couple of other things that are cooking.
Nice. I like it. So Plaid Pig, that's up here where I'm at. Have you guys played there before?
No.
It's fun. It's a fun place.
Should we get any inoculations or shots?
You might want to. Yeah. No, it's a great place. Good people, good sound guy. It's fun. You'll like it.
All right.
In fact, I didn't know you were playing there tomorrow. I may try to get out there. That's Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Might try to get out there and see you guys.
We're open.
Nice.
It'll be early.
We're building our Tacoma fan base. So you have
There
a
we go.
chance to get in
We
the
didn't
ground.
do any. The problem is we didn't do any promotional because we
Well,
didn't
we'll see how it goes.
step on our Royal Room gigs.
No, I think we wanted to offer JW a ground floor opportunity.
I like it. Yes.
to be,
That's what I do now, man. I'm telling you, it's been one of my
Okay.
favorite parts about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Getting to see all the new music and all the new musicians. So
yeah.
awesome. Well, hey guys, thanks for taking the time to come and talk to us. I appreciate it. Like I said, it'll be on the radio 101.9, and it'll also be on YouTube and my Facebook for Bands of Confusion and all that. So I'll let you know when that all comes out.
Yeah.
Great.
Fabulous.
Thanks guys. Good luck with everything.
Thanks
That's
for doing
fun.
this, JW.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you again to Radio Tacoma 101.9 FM for hosting this video cast on their Tacoma radio station on Fridays at 10 p.m. and Saturdays at 9 p.m. Also, thank you for taking the time to log in or tune in to Bands of Confusion, a video cast dedicated to highlighting local Pierce, Thurston, and King County artists, musicians, and venues. I am J.W. Collier, also known as JW_drummerboy on most social medias. I am the drummer for the local indie rock band My Fading Blondes, and I am your host. I will see you next week, but until then, get out there and see some live music and support our amazing local music community.